Now, this weekend, on Saturday, in fact, President Tinubu marks his 73rd birthday with much sober reflection, according to his aides. It comes just 2 months before Mr. Tinubu celebrates his 2 years in presidential office, amid what appears to be growing international optimism about the Nigerian economy, but also considerable concern about some of the political moves the president has made, notably his decision to impose a state of emergency in Rivers State and suspend the democratic structures there. And some international investors are asking, how much does his action in Rivers State challenge the Nigerian constitution and the health of the rule of law and democracy in this country? Are we seeing an era increasingly defined by a rising tide of constitutional violations by the executive, the legislative, and even the judicial arms of government? Are the prospects for constitutional democracy in Nigeria, that's built on checks and balances, looking increasingly bleak? Is it becoming infinitely less possible to hold power to account in this country? Or is there likely to be light in Rivers State after the heat of emergency rule, as the government has suggested? Well, for more on this, I'm joined now from our studios in Lagos by the Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga. Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Onanuga, for joining us. First of all, as President Tinubu marks his 73rd birthday this weekend, how is he planning to celebrate the occasion?
Doesn't plan a lavish party. He done what he believes should be done. That's what he has done today. There will be no ball anywhere. It's just prayer. The power of prayer for the good of the nation. The power of prayer to make the impossible possible. And the power of prayer to guide this nation to prosperity. He believes in that. So he's not going to throw a large party. He didn't do it as well. Last year, he actually banned people advertising to celebrate his birthday. But this year, he's left that choice open. People can take adverts in the media. He's not opposed to it. And last year, the atmosphere was very gloomy. The economy was in bad shape, but this year, with the economy showing very, very positive signs, that gloom is no more there, and the president has the right to celebrate his birthday. But I said, in a very, very modest prayer, marked by simple prayer for himself, prayer for our nation.
And of course, as you pointed out in your tweet, that birthday comes 2 months before his 2nd anniversary in office. How do you reflect on those 2 years that he's been in power?
Well, 2 years, that will be the midterm of this president. I would say the first year was really very turbulent. The first year was marked by many reforms being introduced simultaneously, and that disrupted a lot of things in the country. We saw inflation on the rise. We saw people complaining about the rising cost of living and so on. But the second year, I think the nation has taken a corner for the better. Things are getting better. We are seeing good signs in the horizon that the economy is being shaped properly. And you can see even from international observers, people who look at our economy from outside, and everybody is saying that the reforms are good, and they are going to position Nigeria to better years, better days ahead. So this year, the 2nd anniversary is actually, to me and to the president, is going to be a year of celebration, that all the reforms he has done, that he has put in place, they have not been in vain, and they are turning things around for good for this country. just today before I left the house, I was reading a story from the Nigerian Exchange. One of our banks is declaring a $7 dividend to his stockholders. I think that's GTB or so. That's a sign that some companies are making money. Business is booming to some companies, while some are complaining. And to me, it's simple. If you are not thriving under this free market economy, maybe you need to sit down to re-strategize so that you can really benefit from the boom that this economy is currently witnessing. So, second anniversary for us, celebration time. The reforms are taking shape, and for the good of our country.
Well, I think a lot of Nigerians might disagree with the use of the term boom, although I would concede to you that many analysts are saying that the president's policies, for example, on the devaluation of the naira, the removal of fuel subsidy, the further liberalization of the Nigerian economy, are beginning to yield benefits. But the question is whether those policies will be there with policy consistency long enough to stabilize the economy and bring down inflation significantly, because we haven't seen that yet, have we?
Well, let me address the inflation. Inflation is coming down. I think we all go to the market and we see that prices are falling. So inflation is going down. These reforms, they are not there just for just as momentarily. They are there to make sure that we put our country on a solid footing. There are reforms that ought to have been done decades ago. We kept postponing, until you have a president who says, look, let us do this thing now, or this country will sink. And we really need to commend President Tinubu for the courage that he has demonstrated in bringing those reforms on board. For decades, for several decades, when we are doing all subsidy, you have seen the problem that occurred with subsidy. Under Jonathan, people were using it to loot the treasury. Under Obasanjo, the same thing happened, and so on. But it's out. And you can see the benefit of it. Removing the subsidy, making the market a free market. Prices first of all went up, then started coming down. And that is to the benefit of the Nigerian consumer. And the president is not even doing that alone. He has introduced CNG. This country is more of a gas country than a petrol country, and we are maximizing the use of the gas. So CNG is on. I know many motorists who have converted their vehicles from petrol to CNG. Many truck owners who are using CNG to move their goods across the country and so on. So it's giving us even an alternative. It's not even stopping at CNG. Electric vehicles. Just about some weeks ago, electric vehicles, the government signed some contract to introduce a fleet of electric vehicles to the northeast part of the country. So many things are going on. And what I see is that our country needs to really be thankful to this president for initiating so many reforms. The initial problem is that, they came all simultaneously because Mr. President was in a hurry. He wanted to get a lot of things done, and that was what led to the initial problem. But I said, we are on a firm footing now, and things are getting better every day.
So, I mean, given the, let me put it this way, marginal improvements in the economy that you talk about, I mean, and a lot of people recognize, imagine the surprise and even shock of many people when they suddenly saw the president take a political decision to impose a state of emergency in Rivers State and to suspend the democratic structures there, which many people see as a violation of the Constitution and the rule of law, which has the potential to not only scare away foreign investors, but could create problems in the restive Niger Delta. I mean, why didn't he opt for instance, a political settlement, or even if he imposed a state of emergency, did that I mean, could he have done that without suspending the democratic structures in the state?
No, let me first of all address your use of the word marginal improvement in the economy. It's not marginal. What we are seeing is a vast improvement in the economy. Let me mention an example. On the revenue side, more money is coming into the coffers of the state than before. More money is going to our states than before, or to all arms of government. Since the minimum wage was increased, for instance, there's no state in Nigeria that has said, I cannot pay. All of them are paying. And just some few days ago, we heard in the news that even our youth corpers are now collecting the minimum wage. The economy is improving, but you cannot say marginal. It's a vast improvement. Look at the stock market. Look at the boom in the stock market. I just mentioned the example of a company that is declaring 7 naira per stock dividend. I've never had it before in that banking sector. It's the first time that it's happening in the banking sector. Some other companies, look at even the index, the stock market index. It's now about 105 or 106,000. It has never before. When the president came, it was around 50-something thousand. So when you look at the gap, almost 100%, more than 100%. So to me, the economy has improved vastly, not just marginally. And things are going to get better as the president continues his term. And now, to your question on what has happened in Rivers State. I don't know why Nigerians, we always sometimes respond to things in a knee-jerk manner. I don't mean that as an insult, but that's the reality of our country. Most of the time something happens and people just follow whoever speaks first. If somebody comes and says, oh, this thing is bad, everybody will start saying it's bad. Without having to sit down to reflect, is this thing really bad? Look at Rivers. If the president had not intervened in Rivers, perhaps things would have been worse by now. The week he intervened, the legislators were saying they were going to impeach the governor. The governor was saying he was going to see to bring his budget to them, and all kinds of things were happening. And the state was already teetering to some kind of crisis. If the House Assembly had been allowed to impeach the governor, I can foresee, anybody can foresee, with all the saber rattling prevailing in that state, maybe Rivers State will be a state flowing in blood. Nobody wants that. And of course, if you judge by what the governor even said when all this crisis was on, telling his supporters to wait for signals. And then on the day that this emergency was imposed, there were some attacks on our pipelines. The Rivers State harbors our oil resources, either oil and gas. And the state is like the oxygen to this country. Most of the bulk of the money we have from imports, oil, is from that state. And that's why no leader will ever wait that the state should burn before acting. So the president acted to avert any crisis, any unforeseen crisis. That's what he did. And he suspended. We should underscore the word. He didn't remove. He suspended. He said, gentlemen, House of Assembly, go and rest somewhere for the next 6 months. Mr. Governor, go and rest somewhere for the next 6 months. Try to reach some accords, try to reach some peace, some truce, very, very urgently, so that the state can regain its peace and so on. It's for the good of the country. And I've had lawyers from the two divides, some attacking the president, some even politicians attacking him, without actually reading Section 305 very well. It said clearly, I'm not a lawyer, but I've read the section, I'm educated enough. It gives the president the power to take extraordinary measures if he foresees a problem that can really be a real problem for the country. That's what he did, extraordinary measures. And people question him, why did he suspend? The Constitution says extraordinary measures. So he took extraordinary measure, he suspended them, and he said, look, he asked the National Assembly either to ratify or to reject. But the Assembly saw what he was trying to do, and both chambers supported the president and ratified. It's a suspension. We should keep underscoring that the president has not removed those people. He has merely suspended them to say, you cannot be there now. Let us seek peace first, and then you come back to your offices. That's what he has done. What he has done is to cement our democracy, to further solidify it, not to destroy it, as some people have been saying, but to further solidify the democracy that we have today. And
to be honest,
if you allow peace to reign, and then rivers will come back to what it's supposed to be.
To be honest, Mr. Onanuga, I mean, I'm astonished that you're saying what you're saying, because some of the best constitutional lawyers in Nigeria, and these are people who are completely down the middle, they don't have any political affiliations, have spoken about the significant constitutional restrictions on the president about when and how he can declare a state of emergency, restrictions which the president, people like yourself who speak on his behalf, are pushing back against. And the question has been asked about the difference between a president in a democracy and an absolute monarch. And the difference is that an absolute monarch is not constrained by law and can do what he likes. Is the president interested in any constitutional restraints on what he can do? Because that is the fundamental question that a lot of people are asking in this country.
No, I think those who have that point of view, I think I would say they are just using hyperbolic terms, exaggerating what the president has done, trying to picture him the way, to dress him in the regalia he doesn't have. This president is a Democrat, and he has the pedigree, he has the history of being a Democrat. He's a Democrat. What he didn't just do it whimsically. He saw the opinion of his Attorney General, the Justice Minister of the country, before he took the step. He didn't just take it. And I can tell you, you mentioned some lawyers who are constitutional lawyers who are saying the president did wrong. I can also tell you many constitutional lawyers who supported what the president has done. Many of them. I just read some few days ago, Chief Afebalola saying what the president has done is correct. I've had Dr. Koinsola saying the same thing. I've had so many lawyers I've had saying that what the president has done, even the former NBA president said the same thing. So those who are saying the president has done wrong, it's a point of view. They are not necessarily right. Or let me say they are not absolutely right. And it's only the court of law that can determine whether what the president has done is wrong or whether it is right. But as of now, the jury is still out. So those who are saying the president has done wrong, let them go and challenge it in the court of law. And let's see what the court will say at the end of the day.
Well, actually,
to me, and to the lawyers who support the president,
right,
the president has done no wrong.
Well, actually, it has been challenged in a court of law, and it's gone before the Supreme Court. So we're going to have to, I think you're right, we're going to have to wait to see
so we have to wait.
What the
Let's
court,
wait for the Supreme Court
indeed,
to
how the court interprets it. But you also mentioned the National Assembly there, and clearly you don't share in the widespread disappointment with the National Assembly and what many perceive to be their failure to adhere to the constitutional rules of how to vote on an important matter such as, an important national issue such as the declaration of a state of emergency. Because, by asking a body of lawmakers to simply shout yea and nay rather than taking their votes individually on such an important issue of whether the president has the authority to suspend democratic rule in Rivers State. Do you see how that would erode trust and respect in what should be a revered institution such as the National Assembly, and how, if they had voted rather than shouting yea or nay, that would have deepened the president's legitimacy over his declaration of a state of emergency?
No. Well, I'm not a member of National Assembly, but what I know is that people have said that the two chambers have their rules and about how they vote. Sometimes they vote by just shouting A or no or something like that, and that's what they did. So I'm not in a position to question their system or style of voting. Again, that's an issue. If anyone feels aggrieved, if anyone feels that National Assembly has done anything wrong, let's approach the court. Not for us to sit somewhere and pontificate and say all kinds of things to disparage the National Assembly. They can be challenged in the court of law. And that's what my own recommendation to some lawyers who have been saying, oh, they didn't form a quorum or this. Take your matter to the court of law and let the court make a verdict.
I think that's a very reasonable suggestion from you, but I have to make this point before we move on from that the sole administrator who was appointed by President Tinubu, some would say foisted on Rivers State by President Tinubu, has taken further steps by suspending political appointees, including the heads of statutory boards that are recognized under the Constitution and that are tenured. I mean, and I'm sure you can understand in those circumstances why people are very concerned about what is going on in Rivers State and the extent to which all this will go. But I think you're right. It's gone to the courts. Let's wait and hear what the courts have to say. Let me turn to something else, Mr. Onanuga, and I appreciate your patience and the fact that you've given us your time, because you're obviously a very busy man. But let me turn to something else that some members of the opposition have pointed out is critically absent in Nigeria as President Tinubu approaches that 2-year mark, and that is the issue of a vision that unites all Nigerians in that vision. What is the vision of tomorrow that President Tinubu has for Nigeria, that all Nigerians will feel that they are reassuringly a part of, which will inspire them to contribute everything they can to the realization of that vision, because they see their place in that vision? And I mean, don't say renewed hope, because as a lot of people know, renewed hope is a slogan.
No, Mr. Charles, I disagree with you on that. The renewed hope is not a slogan. The renewed hope is a program. I will even say, is an ideology of this administration. And if you look at our manifesto, you see clearly the roadmap that this government stated in the manifesto about what it intends to do to really renew the hope of all Nigerians. And that's what the government has been doing from day one. Saying, whatever you have been doing in the past, you should forget those ones and let's chart a new path. That's what renewed hope is all about. This country, if you cast your mind back, before this government came, things were bleaker before it came. People should not forget that in a hurry. In fact, the country was careering very gradually into a financial dark hole when the new president came. If you remember, by 2020, before the president came, we were spending about 97% of our revenue to even service debt. That ratio has come down very drastically. We were not even able to raise internal revenue. This government has doubled it, almost doubled it, and it's going to do more in 2025. You can see, as I show you, the stock market has boomed more than before. So it's a sign that things are really getting better. You can see the flow of investment even in the oil sector, even in the economy generally. Was it last week? The NNPC or the minister, was it NNPC that reported that since President Tinubu came, $17 billion has been invested in this our economy. And that's just on the oil and gas sector. There are other investments in other sectors. And it shows that things are getting better. The economy is being put on a solid footing, more than ever before. And it must be to the credit of this administration. President Tinubu has a very clear-eyed about what he wants to do to improve things in this country. And he did it when he was in Lagos, and that's what he has brought, that kind of mentality of effecting change in our society that he did in Lagos, that he has brought to the national arena. And he's doing it, he's touching everywhere to make sure that things really get better. He's touching many aspects of our nation. And some of us who have known him since he was governor, even before he became governor, I believe in the vision that he has, and I see him is executing those visions gradually, I said, to the benefit of our country. And by the end of his first term, people would have seen that the country that he met and that he had built up to 2027 was not the same one that he meant in 2023. Things are going to get better, and we are seeing it. We are seeing the result of it.
Well, to be entirely fair to you, the president has been in office, if you really want to get down to it, less than 2 years. I mean, he will be in office for 2 years in May. And as we mentioned, there have been some improvements in the economy. But of course, the hallmark for measuring the extent to which he's touched the Nigerian people will be when we start seeing him actually lifting people out of poverty and creating more jobs. And we're yet to actually see that materialize. In the dying minute of our conversation, Mr. Onanuga, what is your final message to the Nigerian people as the president approaches his 2-year mark and prepares to mark his birthday this weekend?
Well, I will urge my fellow countrymen that under this President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the paradigm of doing things has really changed. The philosophy of government has changed. And what is prevailing now in our country is a government that believes in a free market economy and that believes that people really need to put on their thinking caps to thrive in this economy. If you are doing a trade that technology is already rendering anachronistic, this is the time for you to reset. Go and learn a new skill. Go and do a new trade. That's the way to go under this economy. It's not the same. Things are changing. People in the past who did not believe in farming, there's money in farming now. So I will encourage my fellow Nigerians, if you have some land somewhere or if you are interested in farming, this is time to go into agriculture. There's money there. Livestock farming, there's money there. This government is investing in many areas. And I just mentioned livestock. Livestock has been neglected. You see, herdsmen, running those cattle around town, everywhere. Government is saying, look, let's leave the old ways of doing things. Let's adopt the best global practice, the way that it's been done in countries like Brazil and some other countries of the world where they have cattle. Let's make our own. Let's get all the values we need to get from cattle. Let's get them out. And that's an industry that this government is focusing on, that we can, in the next 1 or 2 years, we can begin to see it yielding several billions of dollars. So I said, it's a new game all over. It's a new thing happening. And it's left for our countrymen to seize the opportunities that this government is providing. And so, I said things are not the same anymore.
Right.
The philosophy of everything is changing. and our people have to change with the times.
And on that note, I want to thank you very much indeed for taking the time to come and talk to us. Bayo Onanuga is the special advisor to President Tinubu on information and strategy, and he was talking to me from our studios in Lagos. Thank you very much indeed.